Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double A Team Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Nagishi. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. It's a special show today. As I posted on my X today, we got some very good guests coming up. In addition to my regular live stream schedule with my co-host, Ken Fang from Awful Announcing that we normally do on Sundays. Today, Ken and I have been talking a lot about the World Baseball Classic the last few weeks. Now in its 20 years, and the tournament has been a very, very rousing success. It's grown leaps and bounds the last a couple of years, and certainly the U.S. Has had their share of troubles winning these tournament games compared that to the other countries, whether it's from a motivational standpoint and all of that. I am very excited to welcome today's guest. This gentleman was actually in Japan covering the World Baseball Classic, not just in Japan, but also when he came back stateside as well. I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Joe Roderick from the St. Louis Sports Central.com. You could also find the St. Louis Sports Central.com on their YouTube channel. Joe, thanks for joining us. Thank you for doing this on this short notice. How are things with you in St. Louis?
Going great, man. It's the Cardinal opening day tomorrow, and that is a holiday here in St. Louis. So we are very much looking forward to it. No matter what people say this season is going to be for the Cardinals, it's still a special day that everybody has circled on their calendar. So very much looking forward to being there tomorrow. And it's, it might be a little bit of a bring me back down to earth, though, after all the WBC games that I got to watch the last few weeks.
Yeah. Well, I'm very, very excited to talk about it. Ken and I from Ken Fang from Awful Announcing is my co-host, and we've been talking about World Baseball Classic the last 2 weeks or so. So let's talk about the World Baseball Classic. First of all, how did you ended up going to Japan to cover the games?
So 3 years ago in 2023, I went down and covered the final week of the games in Miami. The quarterfinal, the first one I went down to was the Dominican versus Puerto Rico game. If you remember the one where Edwin Diaz of Puerto Rico,
yes,
out the game, celebrates, ends up getting injured out for the season,
or whatever. Yes.
Yeah, but the atmosphere there was incredible. The atmosphere of that was not something I have never seen, never experienced before. And then seeing all of the games after that, seeing Team USA there, Japan, Cuba, all of these different countries, and how much the games meant to all of them. I've loved baseball since as far back as I can remember, but getting to watch those and see those was something special and something that I never experienced before. And when I saw how much Japan loved Shohei and how much the games meant to him, and that I told myself 3 years ago, like I'm going to Tokyo. I'm going to Japan in 3 years for the next WBC to watch Shohei in Japan and experience all of that. So that was kind of a 3 years in the making. Like I kind of just set it down, and I wanted to do that. On top of that too, like it goes back, my dad, this was some 40, 50 years ago for him, was in Japan for with friends for something and got to see Sarahara O's 600th career home run. So growing up, that was something that, a story that he had told me. So knowing how much baseball meant in Japan, it made it even that more special to go out there and see that. So from 3 years ago, I knew I was going out there to cover it, and whether I had to buy a ticket or get credentialed, like I was going to be in the Tokyo Dome for baseball games, and luckily got to go out there and see 8 of those Pool C games.
So I think you might have gotten a little bit of a glimpse of, what baseball is like in Japan. Last year, when the Dodgers and the Cubs actually played the opening day Tokyo series, and what was your experience like what was your ideas, impressions before, and then how was the experience overall for somebody like you who saw it for the very first time?
I think I had a smile on my face the entire time. I was under the impression that in Asian baseball culture, Japanese baseball culture, I thought it was a little more reserved. I thought they, kind of stayed in their seats and was, just kind of sat back and watched the game and appreciated the athletes for what they were doing. I'm a big WWE guy, and I watch other wrestling, and I know that's kind of how things go in like New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I thought that was going to be carried over into baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And to see the first game I saw was, I think it was Chinese Taipei in Australia. I think that was the first game.
Right.
And when I saw that and I saw how loud the Chinese Taipei fans were, I was like, oh, okay, like that's not what I think I was expecting. And then to go from there and the next night to see Japan make their play their first game, and to see they had the band out there and the fans with the flags out in the outfield, and every team had their own song, or every player had their own song for them.
Right.
Was blown away by that, and just how loud everybody was there. I was not expecting that at all. And it was just to be there and just to walk around the stadium every game and to go watch it from different points around the stadium. It was so much fun and so unexpected.
Where did you stay in Tokyo during the duration of your trip?
As a friend recommended, I should stay in Shinjuku out there.
Shinjuku, yes.
I was out there by myself. I think that would have been more fun if I was out there for with other people.
Right.
I was, that that was
That train station is massive. I tell you, that train station is incredibly massive there.
That took me, I was there for I think I was there for a total of 12 days. It took me about 4 days to kind of lock in and figure out where I was going every day in there. I definitely got lost in there. It took me about a half an hour to get out of Shinjuku Station one of the days for that. But the nightlife and everything around that, I was staying, I was going out and seeing stuff and trying to do as much touristy stuff as I could too. So by the time I got back there,
you go to the CD area known as the Kabukicho, that nightlife district and all that.
I did not make it there. No. But I took the train down to Osaka one day to do that. I took the bullet train down for that. Went and did the Mount Fuji tour another day. So I did a lot of, I was kind of all over the place until I got into the actual game portion of it all. Yeah.
Nice. I'm just sharing the your X right here. You can follow Joe on X at Joe Roderick there. It's just so cool to see these photos and everything out there. What was your overall impression of what Team Japan, and obviously their performance in Japan? Certainly, they were head and shoulders above everybody else there. But what was your overall impression? While you were watching, the tournament in Japan.
So the Team Japan was a lot more loaded than I thought it was. I knew most of their roster going into it.
Yeah.
There's one guy on the team that I think, fans of Japanese baseball will be very familiar with, Teruaki Sato.
Teruaki Sato, the Hanshin Tigers.
When I saw him first, I didn't know who he was the first time I saw him, but I saw him out there taking batting practice, and I was like, oh my God, this guy is enormous.
Right. For a Japanese player, absolutely. And he's like I believe the reigning MVP.
Right. And so I go start looking up. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And I start going up and looking up his stats, and I start asking a few people in the media out there too about him. And he's this, former first overall pick, the MVP, had 40 home runs. I don't think anybody else in the league had more than 30 home runs. And watching him take
Right.
batting practice, he's hitting balls the same distance that Shohei is hitting baseballs. And you're reading more and more about him. I think he's 26, 27 years old. And you kind of look at that and you're going, okay, like this is the future of Japanese baseball. Like this guy is going to be an MLB in a few years. So then talking to people about how that process works too, and trying to, okay, like what's the timeline look like of that? And then and then the games start and he's not even in the starting lineup. That shows you just how deep the team was and how deep baseball is there, that they have all these guys that are over in that are playing in MLB that have already posted and come over here. And you see a few more of them this year that they're starting third baseman, they're starting first baseman. So it's like they don't even have a spot for the MVP of the Japanese Baseball League in their starting lineup. Too. So you keep learning more and more about all these guys that they have there. So that was really fun to kind of dig in and get all the research on these guys.
What kind of food did you try while you were there in Japan? What, whether it's in the stadium or outside the stadium that you kind of enjoyed eating, or maybe something that you kind of regret trying, if there was anything like that?
I tried eel. For the first time.
Yeah. Unagi, yes, absolutely.
Wasn't a fan of that.
Now, was it in sushi or was it like in the traditional unagi don, like in a box type of something, or in a bowl?
It was eel on a stick.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's quite a delicacy. If it's like an unagi don, like an unagi bowl, with the teriyaki sauce on it, that would have been probably a little more easier to eat, because I know the texture is very, very soft and mushy for some people, which obviously I know a lot of Americans aren't used to eating fish in their diet, so to speak.
Yeah. So
anything else?
Cow tongue.
Oh yeah, gyutan. Yeah, cow tongue.
Yeah,
that's what.
And for that, it was at a restaurant where it was like a real small table, but they had like a grill on the table, so they bring it out.
Oh yeah, like a barbecue place. Yes, yakiniku.
Yeah,
place.
So I had to make it myself. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, okay, like how much does this need to be cooked? Like, what's the what are the rules here on this? Like, what's going to be okay to eat for that? But that I actually did like that though. That I
was
enjoy.
It thin or was it like thick cut?
Very thin.
Oh yeah, it's traditional thin. So it does cook quite well if you like put it on the grill and like let it cook for like maybe 30 seconds. It does get cooked. So
yeah, and they were explaining to me just how big like the cow tongue is before they thinly slice it.
Yes.
So
it is.
I was like, you know what, just bring it out to me. I'll give it a try. Like we'll I'm here. I'm gonna try it. Like this is. So those were the two. Those were like the two big the ones that stood out to me. I did have I know it went viral, the picture of the Tokyo Dome ice cream.
Yeah.
The sandwich. Like I had one of those. I had one of those like the day that it was going viral. I didn't see that it had started going viral. So I wish I would have had it sooner, and maybe mine would have been the one that was shared everywhere, because I had the exact same pictures and everything. The one that kind of made its rounds everywhere. So I did have that inside the Tokyo Dome. Outside of that, like the food in the Tokyo Dome, the price of it was really, really good for all of that. And it's just whatever inside the Tokyo Dome, they had just the entire area of like you could just walk around that entire place, and just the amount of unique different stuff that you could get inside the stadium, I thought was really cool.
Okay. Did you go to any convenience stores? They're literally all over the corner, everywhere pretty much, in a few blocks.
I mean, like I told somebody, there was a 7-Eleven 30 seconds outside of my hotel room, and there was a 7-Eleven 60 seconds outside of my hotel room.
Right. Literally, they're like, same brand, in
Yeah.
a few yards from each other,
Al-
a few feet from
Along
each
with
other.
Lawson's, along with Family Marts,
Family
they
Mart,
had all
yes,
those.
yes, yes, that's
The
true.
first thing that I had when I got there, I got in. I was exhausted from traveling my first day there. I went in 7-Eleven. I'm like, I'm just going to grab something to eat here. But I knew ahead of time, like the egg salad sandwich was the big thing that you were supposed to try. I lost count of how many of those I had just because they were cheap.
Really?
And they were right there to grab and go out on whatever the day's adventure was. But those egg
Right,
salad
right.
sandwiches are definitely something I miss from being over there. And
Right.
it took a while to get used to the lack of caffeine in all of the energy drinks there too. So I was having to double, triple up on some of those to reach what
Right,
the
right.
levels of caffeine are here in America. So that
Well,
was
they do sell, I
that.
believe, Red Bulls there too. They do sell Red Bulls, but probably in a maybe in a smaller can compared to that of the American size here.
Yeah, like the ones I'll drink here are like 300 milligrams of
Yeah,
caffeine, but like out there, it's
yeah,
like they kind of
yeah.
cap it at like 120 or so. So yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Did you try the onigiri rice balls? With the seaweed and all that.
yeah, I had one of the. I can't remember where I had one of those. I think. Yeah, I'm trying to think where, but I know I did have one of those. One cool place I ate as I was walking. I went from the one day I walked from the Emperor's Palace to the Tokyo Dome. Uh,
Nice.
on one of the days I saw it was like a 30-minute walk or something. I was like, you know what? It was a nice day. I was gonna go do that. And I passed and I ended up eating in a restaurant. The sign out front of the restaurant said it had been open since 1799.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I
Oh,
saw that. I was like, all right, I had to go in here and I tried a few different things in that place for that. That might have been where I had the rice bowl or it's all, yeah, it kind of
right, right.
blended together with that. But and that's like I wish I would have gone to a good sushi place out there. I
Right,
didn't have a chance to go anywhere
right.
for that. A lot of the stuff was it was really mostly like just quick grab and go type stuff. Like I
Gotcha,
didn't get to
gotcha.
sit
Yeah.
down in the restaurant a whole bunch and
Right,
do
right,
anything because yeah, I was kind of running around everywhere and
right,
spent so much time in the Tokyo Dome and spent so much time going from like city to city trying to see a lot
hmm
of stuff.
right. Try ramen. Any ramen
Yeah.
place?
Oh yeah. 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 You have to, right? Like that's
Right, right, right. Absolutely.
you
It's
absolutely have to.
completely different from what you've had in America or something like that.
Right.
Absolutely. My guest today is Joe Roderick, excuse me, from the St. Louis Sports Central.com. You could also subscribe to their YouTube channel as well with the same name. Outside of Team Japan, what stood out to you about the games out in Japan? Any country, any player that really sticked out to you outside of Team Japan?
It was fun to be out there to get a firsthand look at Travis Bazana of
Oh
Australia,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
former #1 overall pick here in St. Louis. Tomorrow, JJ Weatherholt's going to be making his Cardinals debut
Right.
on their opening day roster, and he was drafted a few spots after Bazana, and I know they were very much compared a lot back in
Yeah, yeah,
college.
yeah.
So getting to see him up close and getting to see him hit a home run and getting to see him play as well as he did in the games. That was fun getting to see up close. As far as things that surprised me, as far as like a cultural standpoint of it, the Chinese Taipei team and how passionate they were about baseball.
Right.
Baseball was something very surprising to me
Hmm.
because going in, like I knew they weren't favorites to win anything or maybe even advance out of the pool play. Like they were, they were behind Korea, they were behind Australia as far as favorites to be there. But talking to some of the media there and asking like why do you guys like why is this such a big deal? I found out so much about Premier 12. I was 100%, I mean, ignorant, unfamiliar with Premier 12 and had no idea what it was until the guys there started talking about it. And
They
once
won
that
the
happened, like,
Premier 12, I believe, a year ago or something like that too.
yeah, they did. Yeah, and that was why they thought they would perform so well in this. And when you look at it and you're like, okay, why did they perform so well and why did they win it? Well, it's because they had that entire roster that was there for the national team where Japan brings in 10 guys from MLB to
Right.
play in the World Baseball Classic. Korea brings in guys from MLB. Australia has a few guys that are over there in the minors in MLB, and they're bringing all these guys over to play in this tournament. It's like, okay, yeah, the talent level is going to change a little bit when you add all those guys, but seeing how much it meant to them. And that's another thing too, like talking even to Chinese Taipei, talking to the Czech Republic fans, and the Australian fans, Australian media members. One of the questions that I asked a lot of these players were like, where does baseball rank in your country? Like what give me the top 3, or give me where baseball falls into that, to kind of get an understanding of where, what talent we're looking at, or what it might look like in the future, and just see how much baseball is growing around the world with everything. So getting those answers from a lot of those countries and a lot of the fans and players was something that it was a great learning experience to kind of figure out where baseball stands on other platforms.
Right. So once the tournament ended in Japan and they moved to the stage was set to Houston and then Miami, and you obviously moved over there. The game itself, Japan struggled and ended up losing to Venezuela, who go on to win the tournament, which obviously I think from most Japanese fans' perspective, we gave Venezuela a good run. They were actually leading it, even with the bad start to begin with. When you saw Japan here in the U.S. Soil, did you notice anything kind of like timid, looks tired, or is just the kind of they were not in the same mindset? I think that was something that was being talked about even within the Japanese media or fan base there. Did you notice anything different compared to in Japan versus here in America?
I don't think I noticed anything. I just think that the Venezuelan team were very underrated going into the tournament. I remember when we were kind of doing a preview show before the whole thing started, and we were looking at the rosters of everything.
Yeah.
I looked at that Venezuelan, like I thought Dominican Republic was just going to run away with it. I thought Dominican Republic was going to win the whole thing. When you look at the stats they were and how scary the lineup was that they put out there. Right. But as you're going and you're looking, I thought USA had some flaws in not only in their offense, but I think when you looked at their pitching, I thought they had flaws with guys that were only going to pitch, like Skubal, that was only going to pitch one game and be done. And okay, who's going to pick up the slack for him after that? But when I looked at Venezuela, I was like, okay, this team's really deep, and I think a lot of people are overlooking them. And I think that continued on into that. Like you look, here in St. Louis, Wilson Contreras was here the last 3 years. Yeah. And the first game I go to, Wilson Contreras is hitting cleanup. As I'm walking home or walking back to my Airbnb in Miami, I'm like, wait, Wilson Contreras didn't play that game. And I'm like, he's on Venezuela, right? Like I'm having to try to remember like who's on what country. And you look and you're like, okay, Wilson and William Contreras like didn't play in a lot of the games down the stretch for Venezuela because they were so deep that they had guys that are all-stars in MLB on their bench. And the way that they work the bullpen too, like they had zero restrictions that they might have been given by teams or followed by teams, that they were able to run out the same arms every game. I just thought that Venezuelan team was so good. And you could see how much the wins meant to them. Like even in the game against Japan, 7th inning on, every out that Venezuela was getting in that game, you would have thought it was the final out of the game. Like they were celebrating the final 9 outs of the game. Like they were the biggest deal to them that part of you's thinking they're celebrating too soon, but then you're realizing just how much every single moment meant that they were about to knock off this giant in Japan and go on to the next round.
Yeah, certainly. I think Japan's roster was somewhat flawed. They had a lot of starting pitching and not enough middle relievers, who were experienced in throwing 1 or 2 innings. Now, to be fair, some of their top relievers ended up suffering serious injuries just before the tournament, and they ended up having to, leave the team. and they ended up having to force a lot of the starting pitchers who were never used to being put in a high pressure situations, and unfortunately, that environment. And I saw it myself, and you could just see the momentum had completely shifted.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. It's Miami,
Yeah. And
high
plus, I mean,
high
they didn't have like
Latino
Shohei wasn't
population.
allowed to pitch in the like Roki Sasaki didn't wasn't on the team.
Sure.
Monaco wasn't on the team. You had so many guys that did not that didn't play for them. That pitching staff could have been so much deeper for Japan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Moving to other conversations regarding the World Baseball Classic. Um, Certainly, the future of the game itself has been in discussion. Um, One of the huge topics, I'm sure you've heard about it, you have your opinions about it, is should they stay the way it is, or should they move mid-season? And obviously, there's a case for and against it. Um, AJ Przinsky, I believe in his YouTube channel, said that I don't think the players would be motivated any different than starting in February, March versus mid-season, because mid-season, you're going to get hurt even more, and obviously it's closer more towards the end of the season. And if you're a free agent, let's say like Tarek Skubal, and we'll talk about Skubal and his antics a little bit later. But what are your thoughts on the future of World Baseball Classic? Should they stay the same as it is, even with its flaws, or do you want to see it move to mid-season? As a replacement for All-Star Game once every couple of years, or just what are your thoughts on this?
I think it takes away too much of it if you do it in the middle of the season. I think there are two things that I think have to happen every time you do this. I think one pool needs to be in Japan, and you need to have games at the Tokyo Dome every time. And you can't do that if it's a 2-week tournament in the middle of a season. You can't ask multiple countries to go play over there for that. And
Okay.
you always, and the other thing too, I think you always have to have the finals in Miami. I think that is such a perfect place to have
Right.
that. So I do think having it in the beginning of the season while you're still doing spring training games is fine, because you're asking these top athletes, asking these top of the line guys who are getting ready for a season to just go play more baseball. And the ones that it means a lot to, they're going to go there and they're going to get the same amount of reps in as they are in a spring training game. They're just playing more high leverage games at the moment. And they're doing it for the pride of their country, which I think all these guys are so dedicated to, that
Right.
it does add it adds a little more spice to early season baseball, because let's face it, by the time we get to early March, we're bored with spring training anyway. We're ready for the games to start. We're ready for that. The lull of the past week of knowing that there hasn't been any kind of big time games, it sucked. Having to go from Wednesday till tomorrow without having to have any kind of meaningful baseball, it's been boring. And thankfully we have the March Madness games going on, because if not for that, like I'd just be kind of walking around aimlessly waiting for real sports to be played again. So I'm more than, because you can't have it after the season, because after the season players are going to opt out and they're going to be ready to be done and go on vacation and be in their off season. Having it at the beginning of the year is the best time to have it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think one idea was kind of thrown around. I don't know if there was I don't know if who said it. They said it, if it were ever to happen during mid-season, they would have to have like a preliminary, let's just say, like you were saying, in Japan for all the teams or whatever. And then the quarterfinals, championships in the mid-season, like you said, in Miami or something like that. Do you think that would be feasible, or that's still too much in terms of logistics and all of that?
I still think it's, yeah, I don't think you're going to get the quality that we've seen in the past at least 2 years. What they did in 23 and what we've seen in 26, I think now it means stuff to these guys. I think that you're getting more players to commit to it early on. I think the way that you're doing it now is it's going to be the best way to do it. I don't think you could split it up into multiple times of a year on the calendar. I think you put it there in those 2 weeks, and you get the guys to step away from their spring training camps and do it that way. I think in the long run, that's how you're going to get the best quality games.
My guest is Joe Roderick from the St. Louis Sports Central.com YouTube channel. Talking about the Team USA, that was probably the most talent that I think they've ever had in the Team USA World Baseball Classic history. And I live out in Michigan, and Tarek Skubal has been a sore subject for many Tigers fans, because they already know that he's probably going to leave the Tigers at the end of the end of the season. He's a free agent, as you know, and he only pitched one game against Great Britain, a team that the U.S. should be able to cakewalk. I know it was a bit of a struggle down in Houston before they finally turned their offense on. And then he kind of pretended he wanted to stick around, but he ended up leaving to go to Tigers. And he complained about how unfair it is for him to be portrayed for leaving the team, blah, blah, blah. And then we all know the Mark DeRosa not understanding that his team was qualified and all of that. There was a little bit of an embarrassing situation that Ken and I really ended up pouncing on, and I don't know how much of a credibility did Mark DeRosa lost, considering that this is his thing. He does, he coached the team 2023 and 26, obviously in between his job with the MLB network and all. When you think about the performance of the Team USA and all the drama that was surrounding, with Tarek Skubal and Mark DeRosa not understanding if they would qualify and all of that, it kind of gives me the feeling that no matter how much talent that they put together, there is always something that, back of the mind of, Team USA players not really giving it all. I don't know if it's fair asking if they will ever take it seriously, and I'm sure they care much. But obviously, what we saw this year kind of exposed the bit of a flaw. What do you think of the Team USA and its performance in the World Baseball Classic?
I asked DeRosa about this after they lost, after the championship game, and asked him if losing twice will make other players step up and want to play. And his answer was that he thinks everybody in that room, he said everybody was emotional about it. They all hated losing. You saw a few of the guys take their medals off as soon as they received them. They didn't care about getting a second place medal. I think that they care. They just show it in a different way. I think that you see the Latin American countries that are so energetic and so passionate about all of it. You see the way that some of the Asian cultures play the game a completely different way. Japan's playing baseball at a very different style than the Dominican Republic's playing baseball, but they still care just as much. The fans and the players are like that too. I think one of the biggest problems in the USA baseball, I think, is, and maybe I'm responsible, but I coach a 12U team. I coach my kids' 12U team here. I think it's a lot to do with kind of the youth baseball here in the US, and maybe the way that it is in other countries, that, you look at, you're starting these kids at 6, 7, 8 years old. You're having them in tournaments, and you're having them in showcases, and you're putting them all the stuff on them that maybe by the time they're 28, it's beat out of them in a sense. And they look at all of this as just another game, another day at work, that they want to go out there and they want to go 4 for 4, but they're not going to go 4 for 4 and celebrate it the way that somebody from Puerto Rico would go out there and celebrate that same way. But I think if you look at the passion and energy, go back and watch some of the videos of Bryce Harper's home run in that championship game, and the way that he threw the bat, the way that he rounded the bases. Go watch it from different angles and watch how he went about that entire thing. I think they said that was the longest home run trot of the past year in any baseball game after he did it because he was celebrating a big moment. They're just not celebrating every single moment that maybe some of the ways the other countries do. So I do think they care. I think they take it seriously. I just think there's so many other factors that the culture in the US looks at differently than some of the others might.
I remember Dan Le Batard's show. They were playing a clip about why the South Americans, care about this more so than the Americans. And one of the reasons I think Dan Le Batard was mentioning is that the Americans are spoiled in terms of the entertainment options, and of course in sports, there's also, like you were mentioning earlier, if there was no World Baseball Classic, it's the NCAA tournament and also MLB opening day this week. There's so much to do here in America, and it's not just limited to sports as well. So it's kind of like really stretched in, and the attention certainly, again, compared that to the South Americans in Japan. This is like their, like bread and butter. This is the sports that they have a legitimate shot at, winning or dethroning America. Even if there's any sort of geopolitical reasons involved to a degree, especially with Venezuela versus U.S. Certainly outside of the baseball game. But do you agree with that sentiment that there's so much options that we don't really have much of a vested interest, even as a fans too?
I could see that. And yeah, you just move on to the next thing. You look at, the way the USA team walked into the championship game wearing the sweaters of the team.
The hockey team. Yeah.
So it's like, hey, they just won a gold medal. Oh, now we can win another championship and something. So yeah, you just move from one thing to the next. And USA won't win the World Cup, but I'm sure that the hosting it, that the Team USA in the World Cup will walk into that and think, hey, they've all these other countries are well represented, all these other sports are well represented. Why not us this year? So yeah, they're the US are at the top of a lot of sports, and that might be. I think that spoiled is a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the MLB and St. Louis Cardinals for transitioning, since we're talking baseball. Obviously, the Cardinals are have been a long institution of St. Louis for centuries. When you think of St. Louis, certainly that's the first thing that really comes to mind, along with Budweiser and all of that too, along with the Arch. The Cardinals are kind of an organization that has been trending downwards for the last few years. From an attendance perspective, I was actually in St. Louis watching the Cardinals game 3 years ago against the Mets in August, and I was kind of shocked at how empty the stadium was, even on a Saturday night, on a very warm and gorgeous day. And the attendance problem has been somewhat been an issue for the Cardinals, and I saw an article about the Cardinals trying to lure back their fans with the a reasonably priced, concession. Obviously, I'm posting an article from the Spectrum local news here, and this is one of the things that me and Ken have always talked about. The price gouging, the streaming, the ticket prices just getting out of control and all of that, and also not to mention the concessions and all of that. What are your thoughts on where the St. Louis Cardinals are right now as an organization as you enter 2026? Maybe we'll talk about the players and what the team and all of that, but where is the Cardinals organization? Where does it stand right now as they kind of navigate through difficult economic and challenging times right now?
It's a complete reset right now of the organization. They just hired, or I guess promoted a new president of baseball operations this past offseason, Chaim Bloom, who was formerly with the Red Sox and the Rays.
Yes.
John Mozeliak out after 2 decades of being in that role with the Cardinals, and they've kind of fully embraced the fact that, okay, this is a rebuild, and for the first time ever, we are going to look at it as a rebuild. I mentioned earlier JJ Weatherholt, the former number 7 overall pick in the draft. He's going to be making his debut. I know he's one of the favorites to win the National League Rookie of the Year. There's a lot of excitement around him, and you have a lot of young players who you are unknowns right now. You're hoping they have breakout seasons, and all of the predictions have the Cardinals finishing last in the NL Central and towards the bottom of the National League as a whole. And
I don't think I would go that far, though.
Yeah, no, it's
I'll be honest. I'm a full disclosure. I'm a Cubs fan, so Cubs fans always have this love-hate relationship with the Cardinals. But I apologize.
Yeah. I think right now they're predicted to have, I think the over-under on their win total 69.5. I don't see how it gets that bad.
I don't think so.
Yeah, when they start playing the games, maybe it'll open my eyes to a little more of what the season might look like. But right now on paper, I'm trying to be so optimistic about what they have and who's on the roster and who's going to be in the starting lineup and what the rotation looks like, that right now I kind of look at all that and I'm like, okay, they're not going to win 90 games. They're not going to get there. Can they get to 80? Can I find a way? Can I find a path to get to 80? I can sit here and tell you that. I could sit here and look at that. Maybe I can, I'll start at 72 and work my way up to 75. And next thing you know, I'll talk myself into 80 wins. But to sit here and be like, oh, this is a 100-loss team. No, I don't see that. I just don't. And I think you have too many good players, too many players that have proven themselves in college or in lower levels in the minors, that we can sit here and have a fun season with this team, an entertaining season that, again, they're not going to set any records, but they're going to be more fun to watch. And that's kind of been the issue the last few years. You mentioned the attendance. The last 2 seasons as it's gone down, you look back 3 years ago, you had Albert Pujols going for 700 home runs. You had Yachty in his last year. You still had Adam Wainwright here. You had all these memories of World Series teams of the past for the Cardinals that were in their twilight years. And the last 2 years, you go out and you sign a few guys, you acquire a few players, and the product got a little boring. And sure, they were winning. They were in contention for wild card spots those years. But overall, you kind of watch the games on TV, you'd go out there and there was nothing grabbing you. There were no players out there that were making you want to come out there and watch them every single day. And I do think they finally have that back, where you have these young players that you can market and you can say, hey, come out and watch them. They'll be fun to watch and they might do something special.
And certainly one simplest way is to make the going to the game affordable, and I commend the Cardinals, even though I'm a Cubs fan again, for making the concessions more affordable, because anybody who makes fun of making it affordable to watch the game, I think is crazy and pure stupidity for making fun of, even especially in this day and age where we're forced to subscribe to multiple live streaming services and so forth and blah 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 there. When you look at the Cardinals team overall, give me your overall thoughts on this team. I know JJ Weatherholt is a tremendous young star. I will also add that as an Asian, I found out he is has a Korean heritage there too. So that
he tried to play. He tried to get on to Korea for the WBC and was told he was not Korean enough.
Right, and then Tommy Edman, former Cardinal, he was actually on the team, South Korea in 23. But I know Koreans in general didn't really appreciate his performance or his presence there for whatever reason. So there is some strong Asian connections with the Cardinals. Also, I will also add Miles Mikolas pitched in Japan with the Yomiuri Giants for several years before, he left to sign with the Washington Nationals this past off season. When I think of the Cardinals, they have a lot of good young core that, for historically, they've been great at drafting and developing. Mason Wynn and Jordan Walker are two young, good players on offense that has, kind of comes to mind as a Cubs fan. But I think both of them have kind of really haven't broken out yet. What are your thoughts on the both players, and who do you have more trust, or at least you're high on, them becoming more of a breakout starter and being a mainstay?
Oh, definitely Mason Wynn. Last year won the Gold Glove at shortstop. Probably should have won it the year before too. Watching him play defense is a lot of fun. Watching him throw a ball is a lot of fun. 100 miles an hour from the shortstop position is something you don't get to see every day. Jordan Walker just needs to figure out the swing. They are so high on Jordan Walker, and when you look at the StatCast numbers and the things he's able to do, you realize the potential's there. It just hasn't popped up in games yet. So they're still waiting for that. And they don't want to be the team that lets him walk away to where he figures it out with somebody else. But Mason Wynn is now the face of the team. He's the leader, I think, in the clubhouse of this team. And he's going to be very important to what they end up doing for this season and years to come. He's probably, he's one of those guys that you'll start talking about whether or not he should be extended already. He should get that contract extension this early. And I think he's deserving of that so far. But another name to add into that too is Ivan Herrera. He is probably going to DH for them a lot this year. He wants to catch more than he did last year. He's had some injury issues, mostly with the lower body. So the team wants to be careful with putting him out there because you want his bat in the lineup every day. Like, he's a guy that I think easily can hit 30 home runs in a season, if not more, if he's in the lineup 130, 140 times a year. So, and on top of that, he's like 24 years old. So very young with a lot of power in that bat. So if he's able to stay healthy and play a lot, that's a name that's going to start popping up, and you're going to start seeing a lot of highlights of.
Mm-hmm. What about the rotation? Matthew Liberatore, McGreevy are some of the guys that comes to mind. What does the rest of the rotation looks like, and how good do you think they can be?
The one guy that's going to be the one guy that's going to be wedged in the middle of Liberatore and McGreevy is Dustin May, the former Los Angeles Dodger. Last year with the Red Sox. Yeah, I pitched in the World Series with the Dodgers back in 2020. And they signed him this offseason. He's gone through a lot of really just weird, unfortunate injuries the past few years. But everything that you're seeing out of him in spring training so far, hitting 98, 99 miles an hour with his fastball. And it seems like he's gotten that edge back that he had in LA when you looked at it back in, 6-7 years ago. And you were like, wow, this guy and Clayton Kershaw at the top of your rotation, like, they're going to be dangerous. And he's here on a 1-year deal. There's an option for next year. A lot of people will tell you that he's here to be traded. Like, he's here to showcase himself, have a good first few months of the season, and then get traded in July to a contender. Right. I would love to see him pitch so well that they decide to keep him for a few years to come. We'll see if the rest of the team kind of cooperates with that, but getting to see if he still has it from what he had when he was in LA is going to be fun to watch. Matthew Liberatore is a guy, former first-round pick of the Rays, was traded to St. Louis after the 2019 season for Randy Arozarena, and to see him over the years start in AAA and then get called up and be out of the bullpen, and then kind of be a flex guy between, whether he was a swing man with a long relief or kind of a 6-man rotation type deal. And last year, getting that 5th spot in the rotation and pitching the entire season, being there for every single start, it's been fun to watch him evolve as this top of the line starter. That getting to see him as the day one opening day starter it has shown what they traded for 6 years ago to go on and get him. And then Michael McGreevy is a guy that I really love. He's not gonna impress you with his stuff. He's not gonna go out there and you're not gonna watch him pitch and go, wow, I can't believe he just threw that. He's a guy that you're going to go out there and watch, and next thing you know, it's going to be the 7th inning. He's still in the game pitching, and you're like, how did that happen? It's just he's going to go out there, he's going to get outs for you, he's going to pitch deep into games, and he's going to put you in a position to win. So the top 3 of those guys being in the rotation is something that makes me that's one of the big reasons why I think that a win total, an over under of 69.5 is just so low.
Yeah. All right, let's do some look around the league. National League, NL East. Who do you think is going to win that division? I kind of think it's still the Phillies in the end, with the Mets close second.
I think with the Phillies rotation and being able to keep Schwarber this past offseason, I think they still should be the favorites out there, and one of the favorites just in the National League as a whole. I'm very interested to see the Mets play, because they've had so much turnover, but they've spent a lot of money and they've kept a lot of guys to keep them as contenders, but it's going to be a completely different looking team. So to see how this new group of Mets kind of mesh and play and see if they're able to kind of take over the Phillies will be fun to watch. But I agree. I think Phillies for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then the NL Central, your division. I don't want to sound like a homer, but I think it's the Cubs division to lose finally. I know Milwaukee is going to be very tough. They're a proven team. Pat Murphy, I think, is probably, in my opinion, top 3 or 4 manager in the game. I still think Cubs will find a way to win the division.
Yeah, the Brewers can't keep doing what they've been doing the past few years. You can't keep giving away, letting good players walk away and still win the division year after year after year. The Cubs have spent too much money. They have too much young talent to not win this, running away with it. I'm the one, again, like I've sat here, I've talked about how my expectations of the Cardinals, what they are.
Yeah.
The Reds and the Pirates, I think they both went into the offseason wanting to do a lot more than what they ended up doing. I think they both wanted to add a few more talented players to their rosters to make a run at the Cubs and kind of overtake the Brewers. I would not be surprised at all, though, if the Brewers end up all the way down in 4th place in the NL Central, because teams like the Pirates and the Reds have good seasons. You get Paul Skeens on your mound for 30 times a year. Sure. You immediately have 30 chances to win games. So it's up to the rest of that rotation. It's up to the rest of the team to go out there and win, the other 130 nights out of the year. Mm-hmm. So to start with that is a really good sign for them. And you mentioned Pat Murphy. I mean, Terry Francona, there's not a whole lot of managers in Major League history that are better than him.
And then the NL West, the Dodgers probably going to win the division again, close to maybe 100 wins. San Francisco, San Diego will probably definitely keep it very interesting for the wild card purposes. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, that's how I see it. I think the Giants will be better than a lot of teams or a lot of people think. That infield that they have out there is really, really stacked. So I do think that the Giants are going to be good. Diamondbacks, it's really going to matter on how quickly Corbin Carroll's able to come back and how effective he's going to be. But at some point, I mean, the Padres, I know they're going through a lot of ownership change. They have a new manager. There's so much there. The Padres are, again, a deep team. They've spent money on them to be competitive. And that's just got to be such a frustrating fan base to have to go against the Dodgers year after year.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, at some point, you just have to get so mad about it. You got to go out and do something to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Over in the AL East, Toronto, Yankees, Boston, the usual suspects. Toronto shocked everybody to win the AL, not only the East, but also the pennant and everything. Do you see Toronto repeating, or do you feel like Boston or the Yankees are going to, retake the division again?
the Yankees will get healthier this year. They'll get arms back that they didn't have last year. But on the opposite side of that, I mean, Toronto did go out there and get Dylan Cease to improve
Yeah.
their rotation for the year. So it's going to be back and forth. I mean, it'd be really fun to watch both of those teams win 90, 95 games and just go at it all season long. Man, the Red Sox, they go out and they make 3 trades with the Cardinals this offseason. They get a bunch of their guys to bring in and improve on that. I don't see how that's going to help them, but we'll see on that. But no, they're and the Rays too. The Rays are going. They don't spend much money. They have a lot of young guys, but Junior Caminero is going to be so much fun to watch. He's going to win them so many games with his bat. I mean, that's a 40 home run guy you have hitting third for you. He's going to win ball games just by himself some nights, and that's going to keep them in the mix, in the wild card mix, the whole season.
True, and they're back in their dome stadium, right? So hopefully. It's still, one of the, worst stadiums out there, but at least it's still their home. So they should be comfortable playing there. So, Tampa could sneak, and shock some people there. AL Central, I think this is Detroit's division. Too talented. Obviously, Scooble's future is going to be a noise all season long, unless they tank and decide to trade him for a boatload of prospects, which I don't think is going to be happening. But Toronto, probably Cleveland, KC. I have a strong. I'm actually pretty high on KC. With Pasquantino, Bobby Witt, Miguel Garcia, and Perez, Salvatore Perez. Yeah. They still have a lot of low talent. Is it Detroit's to lose, in your opinion?
I think they went out there. They signed Framber Valdez to also kind of be out there behind Skeens in that rotation. That rotation is going to be really good. And when you go out there and you make a move like that, and you still have Scooble out there, you got to think that they're going to pitch their way to another division win. The Guardians keep figuring out ways to end up in the postseason year after year. So they, same thing too. I mean, the Royals are a scrappy little bunch that have made it work the past few years too. And it helps when you have teams like the White Sox in your division that you're able to beat up against.
That's true. Or even Minnesota this year,
Yeah, and Minnesota is going to be worse than the White Sox. So when you're able to stack up wins against two teams like that, you're going to find yourself in the wild card race by the time September rolls around.
And then the AL West, Seattle, I think they finally, Houston's probably a little bit down, losing Valdez and everything. But I think Seattle gets the division. I think they have a real good core of young talent, not just in the major league, but also in the minor leagues as well. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I think Seattle, they will win their division by more games than any other team wins their division. I think this year. Okay. I think they win the AL West more than the Dodgers win the NL West. I think because of talent in the NL West, I think those teams keep it close. Mm-hmm. I think you'll see Seattle with a very comfortable lead by the time September 1st rolls around, where they'll be coasting into the playoffs this year. That team is just so good. The pitching staff is so deep. They went out and they signed the right guys this offseason. They traded for Brendan Donovan. They were able to keep all of their starting pitchers at the big league level in making those moves. And it's going to be such. They might end up having the most wins in all of baseball, I think, this year.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So is that your pick for the AL pennant? I think it's Detroit. I think, this is last hurrah for Scooble. I think they have.
Yeah, they'll have the most wins. They'll have the most wins, but I think when you get into the playoffs, it's such a different animal, and you have your horses in there that are going to pitch deep into games. And you look at the Yankees with Cole back with them this year. Like you have your big dog there. You have the Blue Jays who you'll have a healthy when he gets healthy. You'll have Yasevich, you'll have Cease, you'll have some of their other pitcher Gaussman, you'll have some of their other guys that are at the top of that rotation. For them, I think that when you get into that, though, I think you do. Yeah, the Tigers, the Yankees would be two of those teams that I think you could see making those runs for that over the Mariners, because that Mariners pitching staff is still, I mean, it's good. It's going to be good. And they had the playoff experience from last year that I think I do like a team like the Yankees or the Tigers to maybe take the AL when it comes to the postseason, though.
Okay. MVP, my pick is, let me think about it. I'll go, boring and pick Black Guerrero. Who's your AL MVP pick right now?
I mean, if Aaron Judge does what he's done the past few years and gets to around 60 home runs, I think that usually gives him the title for it. I know Bobby Witt's going to make another strong case. Bobby Witt had a really good case for it last year. And just he's still so young, and another season of just putting up numbers across the board and playing top defense, top Gold Glove caliber defense too. I think if the Royals make the postseason, I think Bobby Witt's going to get a lot more looks this year for MVP than he got last year on that side.
Cy Young, Tarek Skubal, and if I have to pick someone outside of Skubal, I'm guessing Hunter Brown of the Astros. Who's your pick so far as of right now?
That's I've seen Garrett Crochet's name thrown up there with the Red Sox for this year, but that's Cy Young in both divisions, both NL and AL. I think Skubal and Skeens are doing it at such a different level than everybody else that just like you start there and it's like, okay, what do they like? How mediocre of a season, how boring of a win total and ERA do they have to put up to not win it? Like, it's one of those where it's like, okay, we've given it to them last year. Is there anybody else that we can justify giving it to? I think.
Quickly, NL pennant. Again, boring choice, but until they are completely dethroned, yes, Dodgers. And the Cubs may have a slight outside chance of maybe dethroning if they can stay healthy and play consistently. NL MVP Shohei again.
And again, like you're talking like Jordan in the 90s, where it's like, okay, like he's the best player here. Do we give it to him or do we give it to somebody else? Like like you see it in all these other sports too, where you give it to the same guy so many years, and it's like, can we just give it to somebody else? But
who could be the somebody that you like?
But that's like Shohei's gonna pitch every. I mean, he's gonna have 25 starts this year.
I know.
Like how can you justify the numbers he's going to put up offensively? Oh yeah, and he's going to go out there and pitch too. Like it's most valuable player, and you can't get more valuable than what he's going to do. It's just give him the award. Just hey, it's yours. Like, okay, who's going to finish second? I think is the more the more reasonable conversation to have.
Right. And that second guy could be like the winner because by default, because they're like sick and tired of giving. Who would that be? Is it like somebody?
Right. Like it's one of those where it's like last year it was, Schwarber was hitting so many home runs and doing things at such a high level. And you're like, wow, yeah, like Schwarber, absolutely. But you're like, wait, all Schwarber does is hit. And then Shohei's out there pitching the second half of the season and doing that. It's like, my goodness, like it's just unfair how good he is. But I think you'd have to look at somebody like a Schwarber or Harper if they're able to carry the Phillies to a lot of wins this year. Is Pete Crow Armstrong, is he able to make that leap, especially now with the contract extension? Tatis, Tatis, is he a guy, or maybe like an Acuna now that he's going to be healthy for a full season? We haven't mentioned the Braves. Are the Braves going to be able to bounce back? Acuna, is he going to be able to kind of build off of all the momentum that he had with Venezuela winning? Is that going to spark him into having a good season?
And then finally, the Cy Young, is this still Skeens to make a repeat winner?
Give him the award for the next 10 years. That's It's so much fun watching him pitch.
Right. And then quickly, one last thing before we go. I know that people are worried about the work stoppage after this year. Do you see what do you see in the future?
I think it's going to happen. I do. It's unfortunate. It's something, enjoy everything this year because we don't know when exactly it's going to come back next year. It sucks. We went through it a few years ago, and it seems like it should take a lot longer to be back in this place again. But I do think it's going to happen after this year. So enjoy as much as you can of the 2026 season.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for taking your time this afternoon out in St. Louis. Folks, make sure to follow Joe Roderick. Is it Roderick or Roderick?
Roderick.
Roderick. On his X at Joe Roderick. And then also subscribe to St. Louis Sports Central.com and their YouTube channel if you're a St. Louis sports fans. And if you're missing about anything to do with St. Louis sports scene down there. Joe, thanks for your time. Hopefully we'll do this again in the future, talk about the Cardinals and other sports in St. Louis. Good luck to you, and thanks for sharing your story about covering World Baseball Classic in Japan and everything. So hope to do this again very soon. Take care, sir.
Absolutely, Steven. Thank you so much.